Mike, how we doing today?
Doing great, Frank. Welcome back.
Yes, it's glad. I'm glad to be back.
Me too. We had a little reprieve there. We had a week off, but we're right back where in the hot seat.
Yeah. Did you have a good time?
I did. Busy. Clients were in town, so things were kind of busy. Anytime we're in the spring break type of territory, any breaks is when people are always trying to get out there and take a look at houses.
Yeah, especially when you come out to Arizona if you come from like certain states where it's pretty flipping cold right now.
Exactly.
Although it's actually chilly here.
I know.
I just turned the heat on. It was like 64 degrees in my house.
Isn't that nice though?
Yeah.
I was going to say we're getting that extended winter into our spring here in Arizona.
Yeah. Winter is 64 degrees here, by the way.
Truly it is.
My sister, she lives in New York. She's like, yeah, I think it was the same temperature it was here as yesterday. Like, she's ready to go to the beach.
Yeah, right.
Like wearing a sweatshirt.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the desert, baby.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so things are good. Anything fun or exciting going on in your life? Why don't you share a little bit about the breathwork class you just got into? Because that was cool.
Yeah. So I went to this breathwork class, and it will kind of tie into what we're going to talk about today. It was a pretty extensive one. It was about 4 hours. We were probably breathing for about 2.5, 3 hours straight.
Holy shit.
You just lose sense of time. It was really good, but it was a lot of deep breathing in and out the mouth. We're laying down. It was probably like 200 plus people. It's I'm not good at counting. I just look at them.
There was a lot.
It could be 5. It was more than 5 people. I tell you right now.
There's a good amount of people in this room.
Yeah, it was a pretty. It was held at a hotel, so
Yeah.
it was in the conference room, and it pretty much took up the whole conference room. Everyone just laying there in their yoga mats and blankets and eye masks. What was interesting is the gentleman who did. I should have his name, but he's from Poland, and he was telling the story how he was a basketball player there. He's like 6'5". He's tall, 6'7". Like, he's a big guy.
That's big.
Yeah, and he had came down paralysis in his body, and I think he was in LA at the time. He went to the doctors and stuff. They couldn't figure it out. It wasn't like an accident that caused it. It was just something came about. And over time, he learned to live with this. He started doing different modalities, and one of them was breath work. And his tingling in his feet, and that's what got him started down this journey of this breath work.
So he was paralyzed, started doing breathing, began to feel sensation and tingling back in his feet, and here he is walking and leading a breathwork class.
Yeah, and I don't know much about
That's
the guy.
beautiful.
Yeah, he was putting stuff on Instagram like continuously, and it came up my feed, and I am like, it was on a Wednesday night. I'm like, Wednesday night I get out of work. I'm like, no, I got off because I'm taking off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm going.
Hell yeah.
And, do nothing about it. And I was watching the videos of people like screaming and crying. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. But
releasing all sorts of trauma.
Yeah, I seen that at Joe Dispenza as well, so it's not a big deal. This everyone was screaming and crying at this one, even me.
Yeah.
So, because, at Joe Dispenza, you hear like there'll be like 1,700 people in the room, and you make 3 to 5 people screaming or whatever. This was like everyone, but we were encouraged to scream.
See.
So the heavy breathing was just oxygenating our body to almost like a psychedelic type of state. Mm-hmm. And the energy that's moving through your body that's crammed in there, like these energy blocks, these old wanted beliefs or traumas are stuck in your body, and your body starts convulsing. Mine did. And I noticed my hands and stuff, and I do this a lot, not at the level of like 3 hours, but
but you're regularly practicing breath work
and
on a
for
daily
me,
basis.
Like for the first 20 minutes, I'm used to it. So it's uncomfortable. The guy says it's gonna be very uncomfortable for the first 20 minutes. But there was a girl next to me that never done breath work ever.
Holy shit!
I'm looking at her like, good
your
luck.
first
I'll
session.
see you on the other side.
I was gonna say your first time, and you're sitting down for a 3-hour session.
And for most people that were there, it was their first time doing it with him.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
It was really cool. So I'm just sitting there, and probably within 20 minutes, if I could even track time, I could feel the discomfort of breathing, which I'm used to. But then I just went into this completely blissed out place. Even by the time where we're screaming, and I remember screaming like a Viking, like
like truly,
like I was in a heavy metal band or some shit, And when you do that, you release this energy. It's pent up in your body, and all of a sudden, then you go into this really relaxed state. And I fell into this place like I was doing some psychedelic drugs.
See, that is so cool.
And it's cool because it's pretty intense, man, you know. And then you continue, go there, and then you go back into the deep breathing. So it takes you in these different waves, right? So first you stop breathing. You're breathing deep in your mouth. And the way we're blowing it out, we weren't dropping it. We were actually blowing it like you blow candles, like really, like it was so, it was effort. And yeah, it was just really cool. I almost threw up.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I didn't notice till I got up. And then when I got up, I was just really dizzy. So it was really cool, though. But yeah, it felt good. It was a great experience. But it brings you into the present moment. That's what we're going to, topic of today's podcast is going to be about the present moment and what the present moment really awards you. It's we hear this all the time. The power, the power of the present moment. And people to me, it was always a concept. But until I started diving into the present moment, realizing my energy level goes up, I'm more alert, I'm more interactive with whatever I'm doing. It has the greatest benefit. Everything else just takes you away from the present moment, such as thoughts. Thoughts come from the past because you couldn't have a thought that wasn't already existence in your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a thought about it.
Correct.
Like I tell someone, if you've been to Iceland, no, have a thought about Iceland. You can't, unless you watched a movie on it or something like that. You can have some secondary thought about it. So when we stay in the present moment, our energy level goes up. We rise above all the thoughts that are coming through us. The thoughts are still coming up, but they're leaving. We're not attached to them. And this is the place where we come up with the new ideas or ways to change our life or anew. Where we're in thought, we're also doing is regurgitating what's already happened and try to, it's like trying to reinvent the wheel. Yep. It doesn't work. It works to some degree, but it keeps you trapped in this thing called the matrix you and I were talking about earlier. By stepping above this and staying present, you're watching everything. Even you notice your thoughts, but you're not your thoughts. You're just observing them. And so one of the ways, like doing this breath work, meditation, when you're in meditation, especially when I do transcendental meditation, your thoughts are coming up very easy. They just naturally come up. And then when you follow a mantra or you follow your breath, those thoughts just come by and pass you. You don't grab onto them, and there's no emotional attachment to it. In other words, there's no energy being harnessed or
expelled.
Yeah, exactly, and not trapped in your body. You're just letting it pass by, just like a nice breeze, a nice warm breeze.
Cloud passing by.
Yeah, so a lot of times what we do is we have these thoughts come in, and it's crazy, and everyone, you're going to recognize this, but you have a thought, you're sitting in, in traffic, and some person's on their phone, and they don't get the red light, and all of a sudden you're like, man, this person needs to go. And all of a sudden your brain goes to mine goes to taking them, bury them in the desert. Then I'm like, oh shit, if I bury them in the desert and I get caught, I have to go to jail. Okay, what would it be like in jail? So all of a sudden, because somebody took 2 seconds before they noticed the light turned green, my thoughts went, I'm in prison, how am I going to survive, right? But what does that do to the body? It disturbs the body, right?
Exactly.
So,
and we're doing this all day long on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I think too, for those people, for those listening, it's important for us to define or to really look at and be aware of the present moment and just the fact that we are never actually in the present moment ever. The moment we wake up and you go to grab your phone, we're out of the present moment. The moment the thoughts start flooding in and we're making a to-do list of what we have to do that day, we're no longer in the present moment. We never spend time in the now, in the moment, ever. And we live in a society that bombards us all day long with notifications and breaking news and this, that, and the other, and what we need to be worried about and what's to come. And we are in a constant state of forward, what I've got to worry about, what hasn't happened yet, future, or a constant dragging of these past stories where we say, oh, I'm not good enough because of this, or the only reason I'm in this spot is because of, this happened to me, whatever. We're carrying these stories. So if you really analyze your day-to-day life, we are never in the present moment.
Yeah, 99% of the time we're not in it. When we do slip into it, it's usually when we're doing an activity that we call enjoy. Why do we enjoy it? Because you were in the present moment, such as having a conversation with a friend.
Yep.
Not talking about politics by any means, but
Yeah.
or hiking or
Painting.
climbing out. A lot of times people do things that put them in what we consider physical danger, and that will bring you right to the present moment because you really can't. You realize you can't think. You have to focus. Like if you're climbing a mountain, you have to okay, can I grab onto that rock? Is that going to hold my footing? You're actually presently with the mountain. So you have these glimpses. We all have glimpses of the present moment, but we don't know how to get there. We're always evading it, and we're looking for distractions from our thoughts. Mm-hmm. So when we actually sit still and just witness the thoughts, like if I sit there and witness my thoughts, I'm actually in the present moment having these thoughts, but I'm not responding to them. My body's not responding to them. So one of the ways, and these are practices, you can get there through the non-duality method, which I love directly, but if you're not familiar with that, just taking a deep breath in and 1, 2, out, 2, 3, 5 seconds of time of breathing. In that, just counting, breathe in 1, 2, out, 2, 3. All of a sudden, there's probably about 2 or 3 thoughts, a stream of 2 or 3 thoughts or seconds of thinking dissipated from your life. So if you can do that periodically throughout the day, you shorten up how much time you think. And thinking all comes from the past, so it's not the present moment. Because the present moment doesn't need thinking. It needs response. And when you start to do that, your body and your mind get used to not thinking. It gets used to focusing. When I'm focused on something here, you could be sitting in your house and thinking about the bills and this and that, and all of a sudden you hear a gunshot outside. Boom! It goes to what's going on. Mm-hmm. Then a whole nother myriad of thoughts can come after that. But in that moment, your thought was directed to the present moment. But I don't want to have a gunshot outside my house to fall into the present moment. I want to do by will. So what I notice is I fall out of the present moment all the time. But I notice when I'm out of it, and I know how to get right back into it, so it becomes fun. I don't let it get carried away with me.
Exactly.
So no longer, I'm not going to the desert with a shovel burying some person anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't get that far. I start heading down that road, but then I start laughing.
Exactly. You see it, and you're like, I know what this is.
Yeah. And so if you take some breaths throughout the day, when you're, even if you're not even in deep thought, even if it's a good thought, because a good thought will turn sour. Because if a good thought comes from the past, and if that good thought, if you're thinking about yesterday or the vacation you went on, it's not replicating where you are right now. So you're comparing it to now, and if all of a sudden this moment now is going to fall short from your comparison of your thought, mm-hmm. and then it's going to turn on you. Even if oh man, it was great. I was in Hawaii last week. It was all of a sudden now you're at work telling it. Now you're going to get depressed. Why? Because you're no longer in Hawaii. Yeah. Because you deemed Hawaii to be a great place. Yes, being in Hawaii, the experience there, and then being at work, the experience here is different. But yet one isn't better than the other. They're just different.
It's how we narrate it.
Yeah, well, it's if you say, I love this, well, you have to let go of that because you're going to hate this then. Mm-hmm. So we have to stop looking at this is it. Because if you lived in Hawaii, you wouldn't feel that way because you'd be there every day.
It'd be normal.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So when you understand what the mind is doing, it's getting caught, it's catching you in this trap. And this trap then generates energy, and we know we're trapped, but we don't know how to get out of it, and we're freaking out. But instead of looking for the door or the window, we're trying to break down the cinder block wall. Mm-hmm. Because what happens when you're in that state, you can't see the door. You can't see that there's a doorknob to exit this place. And when we follow the breath or follow a mantra in the moment, breathe in, out, you follow it, you lapse about 2 to 5 seconds of thinking. It does seem like a lot, but to the physiology of the body, it is a lot. And you keep doing this throughout the day. Even if you did it 20 times throughout the day, That's so say a lap. Just say each time you do it, it's 2 seconds of a stream of thinking. Time. That's 40 seconds in your day of not thinking. That's huge.
It is.
If you do it periodically through the day, you do that. What happens now? You get so used to it. When you start to think and get pulled from the present moment, you start this delicate alarm system comes off. It's called agitation. It starts then because agitation and aggravation brings me back to the moment. Now I understand what it's there for. I don't follow it. It becomes my barrier, my out of balance, so to speak, and I notice it. It's kind of like when I'm driving my car, and if I go to switch lanes, that little beeping noise keeps me in my lane, so I don't hit the car next to me that I hadn't seen. So that beeping noise I like. Now, if I keep hearing the beeping noise, I might have to go back and take driving lessons again. But nonetheless, I like that measure is there. So I'll get agitated every once in a while, but that pops me right back into my lane, and I stay there where the beeping isn't happening anymore. Rather than like, why does this keep beeping? And next thing you know, you'll slam into the car next to you. And then more beeping and more alarms, and your car doesn't start. So you can see how this all culminates into the process of thought. Because what are thoughts? Thoughts are past experiences that are coming up, and then you're trying to get them to fit into the future moment, and like they can't. That's then creates anxiety. So thinking of the past will create depression, and then trying to take those thoughts, even if they're good, and trying to figure out your future will create anxiety.
And that's the constant state that we ebb and flow from, which is anxiety. That's why prescriptions are through the roof, why alcohol abuse, drug abuse through the roof, mixed with this state of not worthy, depression, past experiences that we're holding on to.
Yes.
So we're just bouncing back and forth from these agitated states.
Yeah, and think about like the drugs people take. People take drugs to calm themselves down and then to amp themselves up.
Yep.
Where we already have that in us. You're presently moment, your body's going to flow with energy. When I'm thinking, the energy is running through my brain. It's I'm using all that glucose to think, and it's burning the energy in my body. So they say about 80%, when you're thinking, about 80% of the energy is diverted to your brain. I'm like, that's just an inefficient way of living. So we're talking about the basis here of just the physical body. Then when we become present, you actually reach the higher levels beyond the point where you're utilizing very low energy. You have so much energy. Then it's like, okay, what is it that comes to mind? All of a sudden, ideas come to mind, and then you simply act on them and move towards them. Where I found myself in my life where there was certain things I would do that would make me feel good. And what I found out is I was just doing those to distract me from the moment of these thoughts that I hadn't dealt with, or these issues I haven't dealt with that I need to deal with. So now when you actually stay present, these thoughts come in. You start to let them pass on by to get them out of your system so they're not cramming in there. Then when I want to go do something, I'll do it. So in the past, a thought would come up, oh, I don't like it. Let me go to the gym. All right. Now, what happens, I go to the gym in that case, I'm actually probably going to hurt myself. I'm not healing my body, because when I have stress in my body, the purpose of going to the gym is to release yourself of stress. So the body, if you want to grow your muscles or whatever it is you want to do, you have to relieve yourself of all stress, because the body doesn't grow under stress. It grows under relaxation. It can deep rooted under stress, but then what has to follow the stress is immediate relaxation. That's why when you lift weights, the stress is far less than the relaxation.
And I want to point out, like, that example is a great example, because most people would say, that's normal, that's healthy, that's a good thing,
It catches up with you.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, I love that you use that as an example, because why would going to the gym when you're, stressed or why would that be perceived anything other than beneficial for you? We've labeled certain things so many ways that how we interpret them, we would say, that's a good thing, even though it's like, no, that's actually causing more stress in the body.
Yeah, because the thing about even like
you're bearing an emotion, not addressing it.
Yeah, even gym fanatics could only go to the gym let's get ridiculous. Someone could work out 3 hours a day. But that still leaves you with 21 hours in the day. So if you can't deal with this stuff sitting on the couch, the gym isn't going to help you. Like, so, yeah, the gym could go there and raise your dopamine and stuff like that, take you out of the state, maybe mitigate the problem. I get that. But I'm like, why can't we do it in the moment when you're actually at work? Why can't you do it in the exact moment where it's occurring? Instead of running from it, allow it to come up. And the way to do that is just breathe through it. Yeah, sometimes things are uncomfortable based on what happened in the past. Kind of like that whole breathwork class I did was pretty high intense. And you could do this stuff at home. It's like, I think, breathwork with Sandy. I don't. What is his last name?
Oh, Sandy? I don't know Sandy's last name. I need to figure that out because I love
funny,
his work.
Yeah, I love his work. He's got like these hour-plus long breathworks as well. You can do this on your own. You need to,
for free at your house.
Yeah, for free. Yeah, you just got to be willing to go as deep as you want. Because I went pretty deep on this one because I've been doing it for a while, and it was a great experience. But is it necessary? No, it's not. What's necessary is just being present and aware of these emotions that are coming up, and instead of distract yourself with another thought, trying to mitigate the emotion coming up. Oh, emotion comes up. Oh, well, it's because my parents treated my shit, and I'm not treated unfairly. Those thoughts are just making excuses. They're not getting rid of that feeling. Yeah. So you let it come up. Don't tell a story around it. Breathe through it. Release it. Yeah. Let it go.
That's it. The more we push it away, the more we're, just burying it, the more we're pushing the thorn deeper in.
Yeah, exactly. We're just making sure I don't roll on that side of my body. Now I'm limited. We're already limited beings. It's part of why we came here, but I don't want to create even more limitations. I'm trying to peel off all the limited beliefs. That's kind of the goal of this perspective shift here, is to, instead of learning something, is unlearning what we knew, because we already came here perfect, right? We naturally knew how to walk. No one had to teach us how to speak. We just heard people speaking. We picked it up. So I was born in the United States in New York, so I have a bit of a New York accent. But if I was born anywhere else in the world, I would have picked it up.
Yeah.
So we pick things up as they go. And then as time goes on, when you go into school or whatever, they can go deeper into the philosophy of English and why it's this way and why it's that way and the emphasis on there. And that's cool. That's all good. But in the present moment, you only need to know what you need to know in the present moment. Everything's awarded to you in that moment. But if I'm thinking about the past, am I prepared? I can't see what's in front of me. And I missed the whole moment. And how do I know I missed it? Because I'm anxious. Like, I'm not enjoying it.
And I would say that's where most of us are at in our day-to-day lives.
Yes.
Is, we're constantly stuck on our phones worrying about what's going on in, the political landscape, what's going on with the stock market, what's going on with, the latest breaking news when breaking news broke 6 minutes prior to that. It's like this constant, and there's no direction in the flow that we want to travel. We're just constantly getting pulled in all these different ways. And so what you're trying to create, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, it never gets done. And it's because it's like the attention's always pulled, in a different way.
Yeah, and then you get accurate. Because I remember a client came in a little while ago, and she's like, she sits down in my chair and she's like, what do you think about what's happening? I'm like, happening where?
Yeah.
And then she's like, are you kidding me?
No, are you kidding me?
What's happening? There's something happening in the break room. And I don't know what's happening.
Something going on in the parking lot.
And she was talking about the political stuff. And then she goes to me, what do you think Bashar would say? I'm like, oh, I'm not Bashar. And then I'm like, well, I could tell you probably what he would say. Follow your joy as far as you can with zero insistence on the outcome. Like, sure of that. But getting caught up in the political turbulence right now, who's right and who's wrong, is the game of the Matrix keeping you involved. And that's how it's all it's doing. And I laugh at it. I'm like, how do you not think about that? I'm like, because I don't. I'm aware of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm aware of it.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I just don't.
I'm in the world. I'm not of the world.
I don't give it. Because for one, listen, whatever happens is going to happen, so to speak. Right? And no one knows. No one ever knew, by the way.
But we love to pretend we do.
Yeah, because I was explaining to someone, the most hated president in U.S. history was Abraham Lincoln at his time.
I didn't know that.
Well, the Civil War was going on.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you had half the country that did not like him. And then think about the part of the country, that was against, fought in the war was the North. Not everyone there liked him either. Like, oh, shit, we got to go down there and fight for this thing. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't very liked popular in the time because this all came about him, like the whole Emancipation Proclamation. He didn't come in like, I'm going to free this. He didn't come in doing that. The shit just happened. It all boiled up. But then when you look back in history and you ask who's the best president overall in history, well, yeah, they might say George Washington because he was the first president. He helped distance ourselves from the British Empire. But then Lincoln, right? And I'm not here to say what Trump is going to be. It's not even my job to do that.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But if you do see what you call injustice, getting upset is pulling you from you getting to the level where you can actually see how to change the world. And what we're talking about here, when you become president, you actually generate a lot more energy. You could generate enough energy to light all of New York City for a week. All right. Otherwise, when you get upset, you could barely light a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck with that. So you're better off just letting that off to the wayside. You're still aware of it, but I'm not getting emotionally charged by it. Looking at it, in the awareness part of it, and then realizing if you stay up here above the clouds, you can actually see and shift how things are going to work. And then what you can do is you can help guide people up. So the more people are in this seated by the right-handed father, so to speak, there won't be any wars, people. Mm-mm. But if I get angry against the war, I'm actually feeding into the war, not indirectly, but directly. It's energetic. And if, go study some physics, it'll tell you that. So me getting upset isn't helping stop the war. All right? There's a myriad of things to do. Meditate, pray, all these things. But the prayer is for you to get higher. So if, say, 10% of the earth generated to a higher frequency overnight, it'd be very difficult to actually have a war.
Absolutely.
Because even, they've done these studies where, and you could go look this up, anyone listen, but the police officers found this out years ago. I don't know what years it was, but like what time it was. But in high crimed areas, on Sundays, in and around when church was going on, crime would cease to exist. Now, they had no idea what was happening. They're like, okay, it's weird that on Sunday, maybe like the criminals are lazy. But what's happening is during the church service, where the people in there didn't realize what they were even doing, they didn't realize they had this effect on it. They felt safe in that community, in the church. They were singing their hymns. The priest or reverend, whoever, whatever religion you are, is speaking the word of the gospel, which is the true word. It made you feel good. So the energy of all those people in that church permeated out into this field that covered the city. And all of a sudden, people weren't able to commit crimes. But then slowly after church, it would slowly dissipate. Because actually what was cool, it actually started happening before the service. So the anticipation of going to church created this brilliant field. So me getting upset at politics is creating a field of war. Mm-hmm. Where when I'm like, no, like life is good. I want to be part of the field of peace. And it's physics. This isn't philosophy, people. There's studies out there. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Yeah. He was a guy who brought transcendental meditation to the United States. He actually did this. He would take full page ads out and 2 weeks prior to going to a city and say crime will drop, the economy will pick up, all these things. And then him and like 20 people would sequester themselves in a hotel and change the field of it. But
it would work. And his predictions, quote unquote predictions, came true.
Yeah, but when they left, it would slowly go back. So you realize it's a continuous thing.
We're affecting the field.
So if I get upset one day, I don't want to say blew it, but I'm not helping. Mm-hmm. Like I can't be like, I was I was happy one day this week. Isn't that adequate enough? I'm like, adequate enough for what? Yeah. I got to do it every day.
How we show up matters.
It does. It creates physical matter. So what kind of physical matter do you want? Do you want fear? You're going to get more of it. And guess what? If you're in a state of fear, something will come at you that the society generates as fear, such as war. All right? if you want joy, you got to get into a state of joy, and you'll start to see it. And then other people start to see it. You could pull them up.
We've all heard the phrase, be the change. It's like this stuff's right in front of our faces, and it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be the change you want to see in the world. If you want peace, be peace. It's not peaceful to attack the other side of your argument and talk about how they're miserable, wrong, morons, this, name call, blah, blah. We have normalized such poor behavior in the Western society, where if you don't agree with me, it's all right for me to come after you, everything you stand for, minimize your opinion, attack you. Like, we have created this very odd, normalized bad behavior and victimization, like across our state, or across our country,
across the world.
Yeah, across the world, where it's okay, and we need to break away from these bad habits, these bad patterns.
Yeah, and the reason it occurs is you're trying to argue what we call logic based on where you're at, and it's based on this illusionary world. Mm-hmm. And what I mean illusionary,
ever changing too.
That's why it's illusionary. We don't really know what's going on.
No. And these facts, man, I can't tell you how many times these facts and how many times science has changed and all of this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, holy shit. 6 months ago, these were the facts.
Like, there's certain things we could hold on to, right? The understanding of gravity, right? And but now there's people on the planet claiming to levitate. I don't know. I've never seen it. But nonetheless,
I believe that.
We know the sun rises in the east and sets in the west because we agree upon that. Like, because someone created east and someone created west, and I get that. So there's things we could hold on to, but the other stuff, it's just every day the different angle of it, because we only have one perspective in a universe of billions, quadrillions perspectives. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to analyze the world outside of me by my one perspective. I have no idea, but when I'm present, energy generates in my body really well. I take action, and you naturally take everyone around you in consideration. You raise to a higher level. You have more fun. Life is better. All of a sudden, people gravitate towards you. You gravitate towards those who are present. Like, hey, have you ever gone somewhere and you're being serviced by someone, you could tell they weren't there? Like, you could tell right away. Mm-hmm. You can easily tell right away. So make sure you're always there. Sometimes I'll get pulled when I'm working, and I'm like, so there's something I'll do. I'll notice. I'm like, okay. Because I remember one time I got pulled, and I apologized to the client. She's like, for what? I'm like, oh, I got distracted. She's like, oh, I didn't notice. I'm like, I'm good at covering it up, I guess. It's like I became a master at covering it up. But like, I felt the energy being pulled, but she hadn't noticed. So, but then I reclaimed it by just taking a quick breath in. She had no idea. And then I apologized. And she's like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, I'm good at covering up. But covering up still doesn't help it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, right? It's a weird feeling, because if I didn't mitigate it, it would have been so far gone to where God knows what would have happened.
Well, that's it. We're constantly falling in and out of this present moment, throughout the day. And when you're aware of this, you can bring yourself back. You can seat yourself, And Frank and I were talking about this before we went on air today. But, so science tells us we have, 60 to 70,000 thoughts, any given day. And science also tells us that the majority of those thoughts are the same thoughts from the day before that, the month before that. And so we carry these stories, we carry these thoughts, right? So if we're chugging along with, let's just say, 60 to 70,000 thoughts, imagine if we cut that in half. What if we only have 30 to 35,000 thoughts?
Yeah.
How much energy our bodies would have, you know? And we can agree that many of the thoughts we all have throughout the day don't come true, are useless, are often negative. Because they're not driving us in the direction we want to go.
Yeah, they're from yesterday, so we're trying.
We have no use for them.
We're trying to relive the sandwich I ate yesterday. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah, and that is why we're in this. We're always in this constant state of exhaustion, depression, anxiety. All of these things is we're carrying all of these thoughts. Like we are not designed to think all day like we all operate.
I was listening to Michael Singer over the weekend, and which I often do, and I love his analogies. He was saying, like, you remember the first time you ever got a car and you turned it on, you were all excited, and he goes, now it's everyday stuff, so you don't get excited. But now, if you go to turn the car on, you hear and it doesn't start, you get all pissed off.
Yep.
So why isn't it that when it starts, you get excited, right? It's because we don't even know we're starting the car anymore, which is a dangerous way to drive. That's why they come out with cars that self-drive, because humans are poor at driving. I think 55,000 people in the United States killed every year in a car accident.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So and it's due to distractions at some level, right?
Absolutely.
Well, it's all due to distractions. Like accidents happens, but accidents come out of distraction. That's where they come from, right? But why aren't we excited when the car starts up? Not like why aren't we? Because we are always comparing, well, this is the way it always is. And this is where the diminished value comes in. So there's a law of diminished returns. But that's based on the duality world. I'm like, but in essence, I'm like, why aren't you just as excited of starting the car or coming home to your loved one like you were the first time you met them?
Exactly.
That's because you're not present. You're comparing to the first time you met them, and I'm like, they're not responding the same way, or or it was the lighting at the restaurant. It was all these things that you said, oh my God, it was the perfect date, and then you took a snapshot of what that perfect date was, and you solidified it and shoved it into some vault, and then compared every other damn day to that picture. And it's like it will never. Then what you do is on your anniversary, you go back there. I'm like, can we have that seat near the window? It's where we first said, I love you. And yeah, but somebody's there. I'm like, I'll pay you $100 if you kick them the fuck out.
Exactly. You have no idea. I need this feeling. I've been dying for this. I haven't felt this in a year.
Blow my brains out if I don't get that seat over there.
This is the level our angst and our we drive ourselves mad.
Yeah, when I hear someone like a Michael Singer and other people talk about this, I laugh my ass off. I think it's comedic. It's because we do this.
Oh yeah, we're so anal. We're so we're driven by all these, what do you call it? Like categorization. Like we have to do this, in order for this to be this way. We literally drive ourselves mad doing it.
Yeah. So when something like an experience happens, like the experience I had with the breath work, right? That happened just the other day. I have to let it go, because if I then compare it to like the next day where I'm just going to be sitting there, doing a silent meditation, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could do this every night. I'm like, no, it's not how life works. So I literally have to, it was a great experience. I remember it, but I don't hold it to some value I have to meet this next time. Because then everything after that's so I don't compare it anymore. I'm not in a level of comparison because I can't. That was a particular moment. It was great. It was a great experience. If you want to have that, go do it. Is it necessary? No, it's not. Even the guy is like, this isn't necessary. But these experiences can lead you somewhere, to a place that you've never been. Like, oh, cool. But the key is to stay there, not leave it. Because if I stay there, I never have to find my way back to the playground. So when you're present, your heart opens up naturally. And that's what we're looking for. We think the big, the raise, the $1 million a year type of thing, the lover, we think that's going to do it. And what happens when you attach it to it, the person comes in or you get the money, your heart opens up based on conditionality. But a week later, 2 weeks later, a year later, heart closes up. So now what you're trying to do is like, I need to make another $1 million. I need to find another lover. I'm like, no, it wasn't that. You just suspended the idea of wanting in that moment when that showed up. So your heart opened up. When you're in a state of, I am everything, I am perfect, your heart's opened up. Then you're going to have these ultimate experiences. It doesn't mean you sit on the couch doing nothing. It's quite the opposite.
Not at all, yeah.
When I get into these states, I can't help to do stuff. But I'm not doing it now to escape life. I'm actually doing it to expand my experience in life through joyous interactions with people. And then I'm led down these roads. I'm led over here, and I'm like, oh, it's interesting. And I can see how things work out. Like musicians playing music. I could see how it works out. We know when it's a good song. I mean, we know when someone's out of tune, when someone's out of rhythm. You know, you can't force that. And all of a sudden you realize, my God, this is a dance we're in. It's never going to end, so stop trying to finish it. It's never going to end.
I like how you said that because, like, we are, like, always playing out of tune,
Yeah.
but not realizing it.
No.
We're just, like, walking around, like, playing, like, totally out of tune, wondering why shit isn't flowing. And it's like, because you keep playing out of tune.
Yeah.
Like, we're not bringing it home. We are scattered, you know, with our thoughts. We are on 4 hours of sleep and 4 iced coffees and, you know, whatever processed sugar we've had that day. And we are just, like, so surprised why we feel like shit. And it's like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing to feel good? What am I doing, to play in tune, to resonate with this, experience? And if we're honest with ourselves, we're doing the majority of the things we're doing are the opposite of the direction we want, because that's a familiar, comfortable past. It's it's a habit now. I've created these bad habits. I get home, I drink, I fall asleep, I wake up, and I do it all over again. That's like this just rhythm we get in.
And the analogy that you and I were talking about earlier, me and Mike came up with this analogy earlier, and it really works. Any of you guys out there that are musicians, and even those that aren't, can pick it up. But when you're playing a particular instrument, say you're playing the bass, all right, and then the drummer's doing their thing, boom, boom, whatever. But if you're actually trying to follow the drummer on the bass guitar, it's gonna sound like shit.
Yeah, every single downstroke.
So what it is
beat.
everyone's trying to follow the media, what's happening out there, and they're wondering why they're out of rhythm. So people are like, the pendulum keeps swinging crazily. I'm like, yes, who cares? Like, the drummer will, set down a track of beats, right? Now, I might be playing my guitar in a rhythm of 4, where he's going off in 16ths, but I'm still hitting and still in timing with the drummer. But I am not trying to jam my guitar into 16ths, keeping up with the drummer. It's going to sound like noise to me. It's going to be very, very repetitive. There's going to be no texture to the music.
No flow, yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking for texture here. So I'm going to play mine in 4ths where he's doing the 16ths, but when he's reaching his 16ths, it's the whole 4th is done.
Yeah.
But yet I'm just doing less strumming, so to speak, or whatever.
Yep.
So you get the idea. So when the world is crazy outside, still keep your rhythm. So when the pendulum's swinging here, mine's still here. I don't care. It's still here. And then when I'm here, I can actually maybe help slow this fucker down.
Well, and I'm sure everyone listening has also realized that this is why we have so much breaking news every day. Like,
trying to get you
go like 10 years ago, we didn't have like the constant in your face like we do now. Now it's like, oh my gosh, you missed 2 hours of looking at your phone, and it's like, oh, what I miss.
Yeah,
it's crazy the way we've, like, because media marketing companies, they know what's going on, they know what they're doing, and we've just been like turning this up, over time. And now we're at an age where, like, it's like breaking news is every 5 minutes, and every day it's the biggest story that made history. It's crazy,
and it's trying to distract you. I heard this story when I was really young. When I first gotten playing guitar, Eddie Van Halen was my hero, like he was most people's. And I remember hearing the story. I forgot if I read it in Cream magazine or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they were doing a concert, and they were in the middle of a song. I used to know all the information. I forgot it now. But they were in the middle of a song. I forgot what song it was. And someone chucked a beer bottle up on stage and almost hit Eddie Van Halen in the head.
Oh, shit.
Eddie kept playing, never complained. But Dave was like, stop. And he screamed, stop, and everyone stopped playing. And he told one of the bouncers, get that fucker up here. I want to kick his ass, type of thing. And I don't think that ever came to play. But all of a sudden, David Lee Roth goes, 1, 2, 3. They went right back into where they stopped. They literally picked off. They didn't go back to the beginning of the song. Where they stopped, they picked up from. That's what we want to do in life. We want to be so present that anything that interferes with us, it doesn't stop. We don't have to start over again.
Correct.
They didn't get, the music stopped, but then the most amazing thing about the story wasn't the bottle Eddie almost getting hitting and David Lee Roth kicking somebody's ass. It was the fact that where they stopped, they picked up and finished the song. That is incredible.
That is incredible.
That's mastery. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like there's turbulence when you look outside. But why am I getting bothered by it? Because I haven't mastered myself yet.
Correct.
I want to master my feelings. I want to master my... And guess what? When I master it, I learned to master playing the guitar because like that was a weird thing. I'm like, how did they start from there? Mm-hmm. You know? It's because they're always counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. No matter how fast they're playing.
And everything's always in motion.
They became the metronome. They became they became that. And all of a sudden, we become that by doing this practices on days. So I don't suggest practice it while you're watching the news, but do it before, then put the news on, see how good you do.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
You know, things will pop up and you go, I see what this is doing here.
Because when a musician's playing live, cut. You can't do that. You can't cut. Let's start from the beginning. No, you gotta just do it. Mm-hmm. And we live in a live world, not in a world like you're on a movie set. The most boring thing, I've never been on a movie set where it was, I've been on sets, but not when they were shooting. Mm-hmm. But when I start looking into how they make movies, I'm like, that's got to be boring as all hell. Like
doing the whole thing out of order.
A play would be amazing because there's no cut. You just got to go. You're live. You're doing it. Like, cut. Okay, let's take it. 52. I'm like 52 times. They're like, oh, it's a great movie. I'm like, yeah, it took you 52 times, right?
Better be.
Yeah, and you could tell the difference between a studio musician and a live musician, right?
Definitely.
One that can play no matter what time of the day it is and doesn't have to take all the takes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we want to be that. We do these meditations on a couch in the morning, wherever you do them, in order to play and not get taken out during the day. So notice that I'm being taken out. I'm like, I got to work here. I got to fix my timing. Mm-hmm. My timing's off. What's my timing? I left the present moment. I'm lost. I'm disoriented. It's not the outside world's problem. It's mine. The outside world is like, yeah. So the coolest thing that could ever happen for that band to know how tight they were, and people raved about it, and the story was about how tight they were, is because someone threw a beer bottle and disrupted the playing, but didn't really. They didn't let it.
Exactly.
It was crazy. It was a great story.
And like we go through this all day long with a number of different things, but the real question is, why be in the present moment, and it's like. And
go there and you'll know.
Exactly. And that's what I mean is it's opportunities will start to open. You feel more at peace. You feel whole. You feel like this tremendous amount of like, it's like this safety and this knowing that everything's just okay and that things always work out. And, it may be some really wonky way, but you have this deep level of knowing that this is going to work out. And it's like, holy shit.
It's always working out. The thing is, if we're comparing it to something else, it doesn't seem to work out. Mm-hmm. But if you study human history, how far we want to go back, well, Earth's history is 13.8 billion years, right? But then when humans came in and started telling their stories, here we are.
Yeah.
And like people are like, it's not working out. I'm like, it's always worked out. It may not work out the way you think it ought to work out, but who knows? Like,
that's the problem.
If you're reading a book, you can't, by chapter 1, declare you know what's happening.
Well, in my whole lifetime, I mean, I look back now. I've seen so many damn stock market crashes. I've seen so many damn the world's gonna end moments. I remember, all of these shit, and I'm like, what is it just gonna happen? Like,
yeah, but you know what's even funny about that? Huh. The stock market is not even that old.
No,
like, it's not
1920s or something, right?
Well, it was before then, but
was it?
Like, yeah, the market stock, like it crashed in 1929, but like the whole idea of people putting money into this market type thing isn't that old. But so, what do you think we worried about before that? There was something else.
And that's the thing. It's like, I keep like at work, I was just talking to my mom and my dad about this. I was on the phone with them over the weekend, and then I was telling them about, this fire I'm putting out, this house I'm selling over in Wickenburg. The buyer sent us this inspection report and was like, hey, the whole house has mold. And I'm like, oh God, because that's very rare in Arizona. We're a very humid state. And so it means there has to be like a slow leak happening somewhere and stuff like that. My parents are all, well, what are you guys going to do? And I was like, honestly, we're going to figure it out. We're going to, get somebody in there. We need to address the situation, make this a safe living environment. And at the end of the day, I know a week from now, I'm going to have another one of these issues pop up with a different property.
But think about it. Now when you look at the whole scenario from a whole bird's eye view.
Yeah.
In economy. So it gave an individual a job to get rid of the mold.
Absolutely.
Right? It made the house safe for the people that are moving in it. Mm-hmm. So when you only look at it from a narrow vantage point of what we look at life from, it's disturbing. But you got to step back and look at the whole setup thing, because the person selling the house, I want to get into another house, but at the same time, they don't want the people to die in the house.
No.
So when they start to take everything into consideration, you get back and you have to be present moment, and it's going to work out. So all you do is like, what are you going to do? I make a phone call.
Yep. What's the next step?
I'm not taking the mold out of this. Somebody else is.
You trust me? You don't want me to. I wouldn't be the guy for that. You're going to move in and still going to test for mold.
Yeah, so in this two-dimensional, this dualistic world here, these games we play that, but there's limitations with them. We're having fun in them, but when you're getting frustrated, step back and we're like, wow, I'm like, this is helping everyone around us, right? For one, it's creating focus. You're seeing stuff. We want to make this environment as perfect as possible, right? Because hey, if that other person's going to buy a house and there was a problem, they were on to mitigate it. So that's where the golden rule comes in: do unto others. When you're present, none of it bothers you.
No,
it's just another day in the
another
park.
Situation.
Yeah, it's when this wasn't supposed to happen. So everyone's like, oh my God, the inspector's coming. It's kind of like they're going to fuck my day up.
Yeah. Literally. Dude, you should see some of my colleagues. I'm like, hey, this doesn't get easier. We just do more of these.
I'd be like, Mike,
the situations just get wilder.
Mike, what are you smoking? I'm like, I'm not smoking. It's just called oxygen, people. I breathe.
Literally.
Yeah, I'm like,
your head's about to explode.
Because if no problems ever happen, you wouldn't have a job.
No, literally, that is my job. And I tell people that all the time. I'm like, that is my job. It's literally to solve problems all day.
Yeah, just to let you know it's not a problem. It's just a situation.
Yeah, that we're going to get through this. Yeah. This is how we're going to navigate it. And let's take the appropriate steps necessary.
Can you imagine like the first human that's just sitting around, walked outside one day and like the first 3 days was sunny. And then like the fourth day it rained. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
That was probably a wild time, man. Yeah, just being there with like the first time
learning what fire discovering
is.
Shit.
Or how to eat.
You walk across a plane to see a lion. Like, what the fuck is that thing? Next thing you know, it eats the person next to you. So you learn to run.
Running. So in life, guys, it's not like the hits stop coming.
No.
It's just you start to learn to take a punch.
Or you
That's really what happens.
Or learn to slip the punch.
No, totally.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't faze you anymore.
I heard this awesome quote once. I actually have this written on my whiteboard at home. It's like, the world doesn't get easier or something like that, but like my shoulders get stronger. Essentially, it's talking about how like the situation the situations are different, but you just become stronger. Like life doesn't get easier, you just get stronger.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Anyone that plays sports,
and that's true.
Anyone that does anything, plays sports or plays music or whatever, anything like that. When you're being taught early on, all my teachers would always say this in different variances: stop thinking. Mm-hmm. You can't, I don't think when I speak. Now, my wife thinks I should.
She wishes that
think about what you're saying right now. I'm like, okay. But especially when I, was playing guitar, and my guitar teacher, he's like, you're thinking too much. Mm-hmm. Just play. Just don't even count. Just play, and it will come into groove. Same thing when I was boxing. My dad was like, you're thinking too much. You can't be thinking when you're fighting, because the for a thought to come up and to me to respond, it's too late. I'm already on the canvas. So you get to the place where you keep working this craft. So what, the reason Mike can handle like mold in a house that his client's trying to sell is because he's been doing the work every day. When it happens, like, okay, I'm on it. And what happens is now his client, because Mike's like, oh, can you imagine Mike was like, oh, fuck. The client like, oh, fuck, what do you mean fuck?
Exactly.
But Mike's like, don't worry, I'm on it.
You.
I'm on it. So it calms down the client. We're going to take care of this. No big deal. I've been here before. Not a big deal. All of a sudden, you calm people down. All of a sudden, everything gets puts in play. Everything gets worked out. Comes out. And it just goes smoother, right? Even if it went bumpy, the house would still be sold at some point. Might be years later down the road or whatever. But when you remain calm under fire, everyone's going to want to gravitate and get behind your back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And why? And then you could start to teach them, hey, just stay calm under fire, because there's fire all the time.
And this world is a reflection thing, guys, is no joke. Yeah. And you can see this. Like, I see this all the time in my clients. Like, how I react to something is how they react.
Yeah. They're looking for you.
We know this. We've learned this since we were kids. Remember, we've talked about this. We have what are called mirror neurons.
Yeah.
That operate in our brain. It's the same way when we're teaching a baby how to eat and we do the open up and we go, ah, and we open our mouth so the baby opens their mouth. How we interact with people sets the stage. Yeah. We're literally, running around like all freaked out, and we're surprised that we're running into people that are freaked out and worried and what's going to happen, and this angst builds, and we're at this most divisive time in our country, and it's like, this could also be the most peaceful time if we all started saying that.
Yeah, because people
say, all started looking for that.
Yeah, the most divisive time. I'm like,
it's been that for 10 years, 20 years.
Based off of what?
Exactly.
Because if you really want to compare it to history, it really isn't the most divisive time.
Hell no.
Civil War was really bad.
We have been brutal. We've killed.
I'm just talking about in U.S. history, but come on. So understanding the physics where we didn't understand it, like some of the masters that worked the planet years ago understood it, but the message didn't get out there because they weren't on perspective shift.
Exactly. They didn't have perspective shift come to their speakers every Monday.
Yeah. So they didn't have the ability to translate the information on a wider time than we do right now. Like me and Mike, we did a meditation this morning by
that was beautiful. Boho
Beautiful.
Yeah, Boho Beautiful.
And it was like 10 million people did this 10-minute meditation at some point in their life. I'm like, it's a lot of people doing meditation. So, if you're saying the world's getting worse, I'm like, I'd
like to argue a different point.
Yeah, I'll challenge you on that one.
And that's what we're seeing what's going on right now, guys. This is why we're seeing such wonkiness, all over the media landscape, the social media landscape, all over the place. Is old ideas are falling away, and there's a lot of new thought coming out there saying, hey, I really don't need to participate in this, or hey, I'm tired of always feeling like crap. I'd like to start to feel good. Like, I just heard this study about Gen Z, and it was like, how only 15 or 25% of Gen Z even consumes alcohol, and they're like by far the generation that has barely anyone is consuming alcohol in this generation. I don't know if that's just age and it'll change.
Well, it's funny. I heard the same.
It's like, holy shit.
I heard the same thing, but it also depends how you tell the story. Because this one person was telling the story, and they're like, "Oh, that's good." They're like, "No, it's because they don't socialize." Uh-huh. So again, it's just a
perspective, right?
Perspective, yeah. So I thought it was interesting. It's like it's always
because we're depressed.
I'd rather them have bad livers and socialize. It's like
seriously. Well, that's the whole thing about this reality. I'm glad you said that, because honestly, guys, this whole reality, moment to moment, it's like, well, what do you? How are you observing it? And how would you like to experience a situation? That's all this is.
Yeah.
But we're saying no. There's this one absolute world, this one absolute reality that there's black, white, and fact, and they're right and wrong, and it's like, no, that's not really what this is. There is no right, there is no wrong. Both are right, both are wrong. It's black and it's white at the same time.
It's this and not or that
at the same time, and that to people, their heads explode.
Yeah, and as we start to wrap up this this episode, let's how are ways that when you feel you're being pulled, what are modalities that you use in the moment, or tricks or hacks, if you will, that we can share with people that will get you back to it?
So the biggest thing I do is I take my attention and I move it to the back of my head and above my eyes. So I don't know how to explain this, but I move my attention like up the back of my head to like the back of my skull, and I like rest my attention there knowing I'm observing. And I do this all the time, especially when I'm out with clients and working, when I'm trying to focus. And what I'm doing is I'm stopping thinking, and I move my attention, my awareness to the back of my head and up, like just above my eyes. And it's like I'm just there. I'm observing. I'm only aware. And I'm not trying to judge it. I'm not trying to label it. I'm not trying to categorize it. I'm not trying to make it a different way. I am just observing it. And that like allows me to melt a little bit. And I like get into this like neutral state.
Yeah, the energy starts flowing. The way I like to do it is, for one,
and breath, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So throughout my day, even before anything arises, I'm always I'm bringing my attention to my breathing. So
absolutely,
breathing in and out my nose on a regular basis. So if something does like come out that's startling, I just I breathe in a little deeper and I breathe out a little bit slower, and I notice the energy is going, and I realize that thing that outside of me was an illusion in the way it startled me.
Yeah,
like I shouldn't, I'm able to mitigate that. So that really does work. Maybe even having a mantra that doesn't have any meaning, like a sound that you just silently say. You don't say it out loud, but like bring or serene, something like that has a ring at the end of it. Has no meaning, so it won't generate any emotion.
Yeah.
But when you let that stretch out, like if you go ring, kind of like hearing like a Tibetan bell, you hit it and wait till how far can you go till you don't hear anymore? When it takes that pulls you in, and what happens is from the physiology of the body, your heart starts to open up. When your heart opens up, the information that comes to your heart is way different than the information that comes to your brain. The brain is going to pull information in and run it through this program that's, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work. Where the heart is, do this. But the brain's going to be like, whoa, what happens if we do this and this happens? And the heart says, just do this. So when you listen to the heart and the mind surrenders to it, everything works out brilliantly. We just don't know how until we experience it. So the more our heart is open up, so the more we can stay in this homeostasis, our natural setting. Again, when I'm on stage playing guitar, I am staying in my count and my rhythm. The drummer's in a different rhythm, but the count is still the same. The music's going to be brilliant. I don't get distracted by anything. That's my job. Why? I do it so good. Doesn't matter what happens. It's who I am. So all of a sudden you get to the point where I am a counter. I'm just counting constantly. You're constantly doing it. It's who we become. In the beginning, I had to work at it. But now it's like the state of calmness is who I am. So I notice when I'm getting out of it. I notice my guitar's strings are out of tune. I know what it sounds like. It gets out of tune to the point where no one in the audience knows. But I know it, and I'm going to put it back in and not even stop. So that's what we're talking about. And it's constant present awareness. Some people call it work, but when you stay there, it's not work. But if you keep living there, all right, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort that it takes in the beginning to
just changing that habit. Yeah. I remember going through that, and it's hard at first, but the repetition changes it like anything.
It's a tremendous payoff, people. Trust me. Crazy stuff can happen to you, and you won't be far removed from it.
And you see it right away. This isn't like, this takes a week or this takes 2 weeks. No, I remember stuff would happen like in an hour, and I was like, holy shit. And I'd have so much more buy-in, and I kept going and going, and more. It's very quick. I just want to say that.
I have people sit with me, and like they're all anxious or whatever. I'm like, they'll start to tell me why. I'm like, before you go into why, just do me a favor. Take 10 deep breaths in your nose, filling up your stomach into your chest, and then slowly out. Have them do like a straw out. Like, they're going to blow out some candles, but just slightly. They do 10 of them. And when they're done, I'm like, how do you feel? Like, a lot better. I'm like, all you did was breathe. You just changed the physiology of your body. Now, what happened? All of a sudden, it's like, Like it has no hold over you. Yeah, you still have to deal with what happened. Mike's client still has to, he still have to deal with the mold on the house.
Yep.
But now it's like, okay, I'm on it. I'm going to make the phone call. I'm on it. No big deal. Rather than like circling and like 2 months later, they finally get around to it. But now the housing market's,
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's not even, who cares about the 2 months later? You were in agony for 2 months. Mm-hmm. So the agony might have lasted a split second until I'm like, I'm on it. Mm-hmm. You let it go. It doesn't mean you're not going to get startled, But if I'm in the ring and I get punched, I take the punch. But hey, I can't sit there. I'm like, he punched me. I'm like, that's what we do in this sport, because the next punch is coming. So,
that's how it works.
Yeah. And so now you get used to, rolling with the punches, and you seldom get affected.
That's exactly it.
And so that's the homework take home from today is don't wait for the punch. Mm-hmm. All right. Learn how to bob and weave first. So just during the day, to stop breathing.
Be aware that the punches they're going to come.
Yeah,
That's just part of this experience. It's
part
part of this game.
Here.
Yeah.
We came here one of the reasons we came here is to experience life in a very dense, limited place called Earth. But when you learn to deal with it, this place becomes the Garden of Eden. It literally does, becomes beautiful.
Heaven on earth.
Yeah. But if you don't learn to deal with it and you try to wish it away, you're just piling on all the stuff. You're shoving it down to the point where you go to a breathing exercise and you're screaming like a rock star. I was holding on to a lot of shit.
That's what we're doing, man.
Yeah, and the people that were
Releasing
screaming in there and crying.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like now you see them walking out there, they're all like light, whatever. And I'm like, but you got to keep doing that. It's not like a one and done. Like, this is life. And now you might not have to go to that extreme. Just like, with my guitar, if I'm playing it and if I haven't played in a while, I have to go and probably put new strings on, tune it up, maybe get adjusted, whatever. But if I keep playing it in a proper way, I just have to slightly tune it. I'm on top of it. It's never that out of tune. And that's what it is. We're tuning up. So once we tune it, now we could play the music we came here to play. We didn't come here to sit here and tune our guitars, people. Mm-mm. That's just a 2-second thing in the day. We came here to play music. We came here, we have a song, and we're so distracted by the outside world. You're like, shut up, I'm trying to sing my song. Do you know the quickest way to stop a crowd from screaming? Is to sing. Because when someone's singing, everyone gets quiet.
Everyone's paying attention.
Rather than screaming, shut up, I want to sing, shut up, I want to sing. Just sing. I guarantee people will stop. The second your beautiful voice hits the world, people will stop screaming. That's what we're here for.
I love that.
Yeah, so keep breathing and keep singing.
Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. If you like what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe. We'll see you guys coming up. We've got our next live event in about 2 weeks, the first Monday in April. We'll announce that to you guys. If there's anything you want to hear on one of these upcoming episodes or at one of these live events, go ahead and send us an email at perspectiveshift2020@gmail.com.
Yeah, so those live events are going to be every first Monday, right?
Correct. Every first Monday.
At 9:30?
The month, yep.
And that's Arizona time?
Arizona,
and the reason
Mountain
say
Standard.
Arizona time? Because right now we're in Pacific time, right?
Yeah, we're the same time as Cali.
Yeah, so just look up Arizona time, depending where you live, because we don't have daylight savings here. So, but yeah, we love interacting with the audience, and we had a fun time for the first time. So
the next one will be great.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See you in a couple weeks.
Much love and peace out.
Thanks, guys.